Hello, this is Phillip, welcoming you to the 2065th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper. Our dateline is the 15th of September 2016. The readers this week are Ali, Romany and John, with Colin on the controls for the very last time. Thank you, Colin, for all your help over the years. Also in the background is Peter, who's helping here, and Peter will be with us recording for Team C from next month, as well as his regular stint on our production team. The editor this week was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Lindsay and Jean. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. The local stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser, and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include Hospital Confident Watchdog will welcome changes at A&E, and Shock as huge blaze guts house and barn. But before the news, we have one special announcement from the Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group, and Ali has that notice.
Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group invites you to its governing body meeting to be held in public on the 21st of September 2016 from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. in the committee room, Holbrook House, Cockfosters Road, Barnet, EN4 0DR. Copies of the agenda and meeting papers will be available on our website at www.enfieldccg.nhs.uk from 14th of September, and paper copies from David Triggs, Board Secretary, via reception at Holbrook House, Cockfosters Road, Barnet, EN4 0DR from the 15th of September. Questions about agenda items must be submitted by 12 noon on the 19th of September to david.triggs at enfieldccg.nhs.uk and will be taken at the meeting. For further information, please call 020 3688 2867 or email david.triggs at enfieldccg.nhs.uk.
Thanks, Ali. And now the sunrise and sunset times for Monday the 19th of September. Sunrise will be at 06:42 hours and sunset at 19:05 hours. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and any special announcements, because we love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone my colleague Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. That's 020 8805 6578. She's your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. And now, for the last time, with Colin at the helm on the controls, it's over to our local news, and Romany has the first story.
Hospital Confident Watchdog will welcome changes at A&E. A team of troubleshooters believe changes they brought in at the A&E department at North Middlesex Hospital will impress a health watchdog. The acting chief executive, trained nurse Libby McManus, has been confirmed in the top job. She takes over from the previous chief, Julie Lowe, who has just taken up a post at North East London's Sustainability Transformation Plan. The Care Quality Commission gave the A&E department an inadequate rating and said medical care needed improvement after an unannounced inspection in April. Experts visiting on follow-up inspections said the hospital in Stirling Way has turned the corner. A team of 20 CQC inspectors and advisors are due at the hospital for a 4-day inspection starting on Tuesday, September the 20th. The new clinical director of A&E, Dr. Turan Hussain, told the Advertiser, "I think there's been a huge improvement." He said the number of consultants had increased from 8 to 16. The moves were made after the CQC said there were insufficient middle-grade doctors and consultants on duty. The new A&E matron, Gemma Davies, pointed out some of the improvements she has brought in together with the A&E team to turn the department around. She has started a pod area where triage nurses assess patients arriving at the Edmonton hospital. The other stream that we now have is urgent care, where patients can see an urgent care GP, she said. Another innovation is the transformation of one bay in the emergency department into a pit stop for 6 patients to avoid patients waiting in a corridor for treatment. This is a protected space. We've taken a trolley from the cubicle and put chairs in the space, said Miss Davies. Support services have also been increased, with staff offering refreshments to patients being seen. Patient Rosemary George Jalla, 61, from Cruise Hill, told the Advertiser, "I am concerned about the report." Craig Marshall, 36, from Edmonton, who was treated for a broken hand, said, "The staff are brilliant."
Shock as huge blaze guts house and barn. There was a dramatic scene as a house and barn burnt to the ground. Sloman's farm in Whitewebbs Road, Enfield, was gutted after the fire broke out on Sunday evening. There were no animals or people inside the house or barn, which was bought by Enfield Council for £2.5 million 2 years ago at the time of the blaze. Ronald Chapman, who owns nearby Brookbank Stables, said the house had recently become a magnet for vandals. It had been empty for 6 months, although the authority is believed to lease it out. He said, "We were just sat down to dinner when we saw the flames going up. My partner called the fire brigade. There have been 2 or 3 smaller fires, and people have been dumping on the forecourt. Now the whole house is gone." People were left shocked on social media as dramatic pictures were shared of the inferno. Claire Nichols tweeted, "Oh my God, awful. Hope everyone is safe." Another user said, "In all my 26 years I never saw a house so totally destroyed." Flames and heavy smoke could be seen as far as the M25. Paramedics were not called to the house and nobody was injured. 6 fire engines and 35 firefighters were called at 8:49 p.m. to the blaze. A spokesperson said the 2-floor detached house was 100% gutted. It took fire crews from Enfield, Edmonton, Southgate, Harrow, Walthamstow and Hendon until 1:45 a.m. to control the blaze. This is the second fire in the space of just over a year at the farm. The barn was also caught alight last April. At the time, pigs and dogs were inside but had a lucky escape, though flames spread to a number of farm outbuildings and a flatbed lorry. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Enfield Council spokesperson Andrew Golder said, "We can confirm that Sloman's farm, an Enfield Council property occupied by a tenant farmer, was damaged by fire on Sunday night. The fire brigade is currently investigating the cause of the fire. Until that investigation is complete, it would be inappropriate to speculate over the cause of the fire. Our managing agents are at the property now inspecting the damage and will report back with their findings in due course."
Work on cycle routes to start. Construction is set to begin on the Council's controversial £42 million Enfield cycle scheme. Residents have been warned to expect some upheaval in the months ahead as work to install new segregated cycle routes and pedestrianised walkways in the borough's high streets and town centres is carried out. The A105 from Green Lanes in Palmer's Green to Park Avenue and London Road, Enfield Town, is the first stretch of highway to undergo construction work. Enfield is one of 3 outer London boroughs to have received millions of pounds in funding from Transport for London to encourage more people to cycle, as well as to improve streets and public spaces for everyone. The scheme ran into opposition from some businesses and residents, with an application for a judicial review recently thrown out by a High Court judge. But following an 18-month public consultation in which significant modifications have been made, the work to redesign Enfield Town Centre and create segregated cycle routes linking key destinations is shortly to begin. Cycle storage hubs are also planned at Enfield Town and Edmonton Green stations, and new greenway routes will be introduced. This once-in-a-lifetime opportunity will improve the look and feel of our environment, creating better streets for Enfield and more desirable destinations for shoppers and visitors. Everyone, young and old alike, will benefit, said Councillor Daniel Anderson, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for the Environment. Our proposals are the culmination of an extensive engagement process with residents and businesses, and it's an incredibly exciting time for Enfield. Though there will be an inevitable degree of disruption while the works proceed, which we are doing to our utmost to minimise, ultimately the benefits will hugely outweigh the temporary inconvenience. However, as our population continues to grow, future generations will thank us for these visionary proposals, he added. For more information on major projects, cycle loans, cycling skills, bike maintenance courses and more, visit www.cycleenfield, that's all one word, cycleenfield.co.uk.
8 eateries score worst hygiene mark. The latest round of inspections has given 8 restaurants in Enfield 0-star ratings for food hygiene. The scheme is run by local authorities and applies to restaurants, pubs, cafes, takeaways, hotels, supermarkets and other food shops. Council inspectors also visit business kitchens. Premises are rated on a scale of 0 to 5, and a 0 rating means urgent improvement is necessary. Inspectors decide the ratings by evaluating the following: how hygienically the food is handled, how it is prepared, cooked, reheated, cooled and stored, the condition of the structure of the buildings, the cleanliness, layout, lighting, ventilation and other facilities, how the business manages and records what it does to make sure food is safe. The following businesses have the 0-star ratings: Dee's West Indies Bakery, 526 Hertford Road, Enfield; Dynasty, 121 Ordnance Road, Enfield; Enfield's Halal Meat Centre, 135 High Street, Enfield; Global Sunshine Distribution Limited, 107 Ordnance Road, Enfield; Gramadi Place Limited, 3 Hoe Street, Enfield; Haviwa, 100 Lincoln Road, Enfield; Premier Cafe, Unit 2, Enfield Enterprise Centre, 26 to 28 Queensway, Enfield; Purito, 15 Silver Street, Enfield. Food hygiene ratings are decided by using 3 main criteria, including how food is prepared, cooked and stored, food safety and the condition of the outlet. Establishments given a rating of 0 are likely to have a lack of cleaning and disinfection and may have a history of poor ratings. Before dining at a restaurant, customers can check its rating on Scores on the Doors online app. No stars means urgent improvement necessary. 1 star means major improvement necessary. 2 stars means improvement necessary. 3 stars means generally satisfactory. 4 stars means good, and 5 stars means very good. You can check the rating of your favourite restaurant on www.food.gov.uk/ratings.
Students inspired by top hairdresser. A celebrity hairdresser came to a new college campus in Colindale to open its new hair and beauty facilities. Barnet and Southgate College's new site will provide training for hairdressing, specialist makeup, beauty, spa and nail technologies. Patrick Cameron, who runs his own training school in London and is a regular presenter at the most prestigious hairdressing events across the world, visited the campus for its official opening on Thursday. He said, "Good training is the key to the success of our industry in the future. Barnet and Southgate College is the best place to give students a good start in their hairdressing career, and the support available is immense. Education is crucial for young hairdressers, as I see a lot of great hairdressers throughout the country who don't continue with their training or keep up with new trends, products and tools, which is essential." The new campus in Bristol Avenue features courses in hairdressing, barbering, beauty, spa management, brickwork, carpentry and joinery, plastering, wall and floor tiling and plumbing. 17-year-old Isabel Russell, who is studying the Level 2 diploma in hairdressing, said, "I can't believe I actually met Patrick Cameron and also helped him with some of his hair demonstrations. He's such an inspiration. The new salon is so glamorous and professional. I can't wait to train and work here as it will be such a great experience for me. My friends and family have already been asking me how they can book in." The college has also been deemed a centre of excellence by hair company Weller. There are only 34 colleges nationally that hold Weller's accreditation, and Barnet and Southgate College is the first in London.
Warning after M25 cat killer strikes again. The brutal killing of a cat has sparked fears that the so-called M25 cat killer has been operating in the area. The body of a 17-year-old male cat, thought to have died on Sunday evening, was discovered by its owners on Monday in Walthamstow. The animal had been beheaded and left in the owner's garden, one of the trademarks associated with the killer, who is thought to have dismembered and slaughtered more than 100 cats. Volunteers from the charity South Norwood Animal Rescue and Liberty, or SNAL for short, who have been assisting police and the RSPCA during the spate of killings, attended the home on Wednesday. Tony Jenkins of SNAL said, "We need people to know that this is a serial cat killer who is killing 3 or 4 cats a week. He is travelling all over London and he can strike anywhere. We ask people to try to keep their cat indoors, especially at night, only let them out under supervision and be vigilant. If a cat is found beheaded or its tail or limbs are missing, call the police." Police began investigating what was originally referred to as the Croydon cat killer in November 2015. However, attacks have since spread out across London and the South East. The killer has since been dubbed the M25 cat killer due to a theory that they were travelling around the London orbital motorway carrying out attacks.
Brits face visas in Europe. The price of post-Brexit border control could be Britain's having to apply for visas to travel to continental Europe, the Home Secretary Amber Rudd has said. She said reports the European Commission is considering plans for a visa programme to operate across the Schengen free movement area is a reminder that the UK is in a two-way negotiation with the EU as it seeks to divorce from Brussels. She agreed that people would be surprised if they had to apply for a short-term visa to visit countries like France, but insisted such a scheme could be rolled out. She told Andrew Marr on BBC One, "I think they, British citizens, would be surprised. I don't think it's particularly desirable, but we don't rule it out because we have to be allowed a free hand to give the best negotiation." Control over who comes to the UK was a central issue during the EU referendum campaign. Ms Rudd said the UK will be able to control its borders post-Brexit, but stressed any measures introduced would have to be reciprocal. She said, "Once we leave the European Union, we will have complete control over who comes into the UK from the EU and who doesn't, with 1 or 2 provisos, of course. First of all, it's going to be reciprocal. We're going to have to work out what's in the UK's interests, as well as going into the European Union and work out what works out for our economy, and making sure that we get the right balance. Looking across the whole spectrum is what's going to be the guiding principle." She also reaffirmed the Tory manifesto commitment to cut immigration to the UK to the tens of thousands. "I'm completely committed to making sure that we reduce it, and yes, tens of thousands, although it will take some time," she said. Ms Rudd said it's too early to outline the specifics of how the government will achieve its target, but she repeated the Prime Minister's rejection of an Australian-style points-based system. However, she suggested a work permit system is being considered.
Charges were dropped against man carrying knives who went on to kill. A mentally ill man who stabbed a new father to death on his doorstep had charges for carrying knives in Edmonton dropped just days before the fatal attack. Tim Chang Nandap pleaded guilty to the involuntary manslaughter by reason of diminished responsibility of Dr. Jeroen Ensink outside his home in Islington after he had gone out to post cards to celebrate the birth of his daughter. It emerged that Nandap had been charged with possession of a knife after he was found in Edmonton carrying 2 kitchen knives on May the 22nd last year. He also assaulted a police officer on the same day. He appeared at Highbury Corner Magistrates Court in October, but the charges against him were formally dropped at court on Christmas Eve, just days before he fatally stabbed 41-year-old Dr. Ensink. A Crown Prosecution Service spokesman said, "The case against Tim Chang Nandap was discontinued on December 23rd following a review that determined there was insufficient evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction. Even if the case had proceeded, the bail conditions he was subject to until his scheduled trial would not have prevented him being at the location of the incident on December the 29th, 2015. The 23-year-old from Woolwich, South London, appeared at the Old Bailey via video link yesterday, and he will be sentenced at the Old Bailey on October the 10th.
Duo charged. 2 Enfield men have been charged with a burglary at a West End jeweller's 6 years ago. Daniel Jones, 59, and Terence Perkins, 68, have been charged with burglary at the 150-year-old Chatilla jewellery store in Old Bond Street between August 27th and August 31st, 2010. The pair will appear before Westminster Magistrates Court on October the 10th. Charles Matthews, 54, from Meadow Road in Virginia Water, was charged with receiving stolen property from the burglary at Chatilla and will also appear at Westminster Magistrates in October. Fundraising walk returns. A charity tackling motor neurone disease is planning its second fundraising walk. MNDA, North London's Memories and Dreams Walk, will see participants take part in either the 5 or 10 kilometre route on September the 25th, with hopes it can be as successful as the last event 2 years ago, which saw 130 people raise nearly £5,000. Money raised would go towards vital equipment and support in the fight against motor neurone disease. No sponsorship is necessary, but a £10 entry fee is required.
Woman gets her mobility car back. A woman is celebrating the return of her mobility car after she challenged an assessment for a state benefit. Kathy Walsh from Enfield has the neuralgic condition generalised dystonia, which affects her mobility, her limbs and her speech. She was told just before Christmas last year that the £290 a month funding for a mobility car would stop after the rules changed with the government's new personal independence allowance. The former police administrator, who had to give up her job on health grounds, used the money to pay for an automatic car. She appealed the decision after the assessment ruled that she could walk between 50 and 200 metres. However, in evidence supplied for her appeal, her consultant said at the best she could walk 20 metres and on a bad day significantly less. Enfield North MP Joan Ryan raised the case in a debate in Parliament in February. She told MPs that she was concerned about the assessment. Ms Ryan said, "She has had to go down the stressful route of a mandatory reconsideration and an appeal to a tribunal, which is making her condition worse. Her independence has been severely curtailed, at least until the tribunal decision is known, which could be months away." Mrs Walsh, who is 49, also received support from Dystonia Association and Enfield Disability Action as she contested the assessment. She said, "I also had a lot of support from people who don't know me that well, but read about it. The car had to be returned to Motability in the spring while the tribunal considered the case. Ms Walsh has just had a new car delivered from the Motability garage on the Great Cambridge Road. The car has given Miss Walsh back some freedom and enabled her to leave her home in the Ridgeway. She said, "When I got the letter telling me, I burst out crying. My message to people in a similar position is don't give up. Fight for what you are entitled to and make sure you get the right information.
Boxing Clever to beat cot death. A pioneering project aimed at reducing the number of cot deaths in the borough has been launched by an Edmonton hospital. Enfield has one of the highest rates of infant mortality in London, prompting North Middlesex University Hospital in Stirling Way to launch the Baby Box scheme last week. An average of 5.8 per 1,000 babies died before the age of 1 every year between 2010 and 2012 in Enfield, compared to a London-wide average of 4.1 per 1,000. Neighbouring Barnet had a significantly lower rate during the same period of 3 infant mortalities per 1,000. Parents will be given a special durable cardboard box for their babies to sleep in to provide them with a safe sleeping environment. Health professionals hope they will prevent parents from sharing their beds with their babies because infants can get overheated as a result. The box serves as a bed until the baby is 6 to 8 months old. The design is believed to prevent suffocation because babies are not able to roll onto their stomachs. The idea originates from Finland, where the boxes have helped to reduce the number of so-called cot deaths from 65 per 1,000 in 1938 to 2.26 per 1,000 in 2015. Michelle Lynch, bereavement midwife at North Middlesex Hospital, introduced the programme. She said, "I heard about the idea and thought it sounded really interesting, so I spoke to one of my colleagues who's a midwife and said we should look into it. Enfield's infant mortality rate is double the UK's, and although they are small numbers, a baby is the most precious gift a family can have."
Using crafts to highlight plight of many refugees. Paper boats inform about the crisis. Paper boats containing facts about refugees have been placed at random locations to raise awareness about the crisis. Leytonstone is the latest area to play host to the project, and boats can be found at public places such as cafes, parks and train stations. The displays are part of a joint exhibition titled Another Crossing by photojournalist Giovanna Del Sarto and artist Bern O'Donoghue. Mrs. Del Sarto, who is originally from northern Italy and has lived in Leytonstone for 8 years, took pictures of migrants arriving in Greece because she wanted to give something back. The 46-year-old said, "Last October I went to Greece to volunteer with a charity. I took photos of the refugees as they were arriving in dinghies, and this is how the project was born. They were happy when I said, I can take a picture of you and you can keep it. Some of them have never seen a Polaroid before. They can look back on it and remember the time when they arrived. We want more people to be aware of the cause of the refugees." As well as photos of newly arrived refugees, the exhibition features paper boats handmade by Mrs. O'Donoghue. Facts about the refugee crisis are written on the paper boats, such as 1 in 4 refugees is Assyrian, and developing countries host 86% of the world's refugees. So far, 8,000 paper boats have been translated into 7 languages and spread around the world. The artist from Brighton said she decided to create the boats after she heard politicians using negative language to describe refugees arriving in Europe.
And now some events information for you. Rebuilding St Paul's Cathedral after the Great Fire of London is the topic of the next talk by the Edmonton 100 Historic Society. Archaeologist Dr. Neil Houghton, chairman of Walthamstow Historical Society, gives an unusual view of the work to erect Wren's new St Paul's based on archives which will be new to most of us. Definitely not a talk to be missed. The talk takes place on Wednesday, 21st September at 7:45 for 8 p.m. at Jubilee Hall, Parsonage Lane, Enfield, EN20AJ.
The Enfield Town and Country Show returns from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday the 24th of September and Sunday the 25th of September. The Enfield Town and Country Show has something for everybody, with many new and added attractions this year, including a food, drink and music festival and Festival of Dogs. A family fun day out for everybody. New this year, street food and the chance to buy something a little different. Family fun for everybody. Tickets are priced at £4.50 for adults, concessions £3.50. Children £1.50, under 5's free, and are available from www.classicfestivaltickets.co.uk.
And now details of another event at Tate Modern, out-of-hours access, Georgia O'Keeffe. The event takes place on Monday the 26th of September from 6:30 until 8:30 and is free for blind and partially sighted people, but booking is required. Please call 020 7887 8888. That's 020 7887 8888 to reserve a place. Guide dogs are welcome. The exhibition reassesses Georgia O'Keeffe's place in the canon of 20th century art and shows the profound influence she had on other artists. There'll be an audio-described tour by Lisa Squirrel. Doors open at 6:30 and tours begin at 7 p.m. on Monday the 26th of September.
Tottenham Hotspur Foundation is delivering fitness and multi-sports sessions, including cricket, football and tennis, for visually impaired people aged 14 years and upwards. These take place on Wednesdays, weekly, between 6 and 8 p.m. at Barnet and Southgate College, Southgate Campus, High Street, Southgate, N14 6BS. To book your place, please email peter.stone@tottenhamhotspur.com or call Peter on 07787 504 237.
And finally, North London Actionaires Club is a free multi-activity club for blind and partially sighted children and young people aged 5 to 16. We will be taking a self-guided sensory tour around the zoo to get a closer look at the animals and wildlife that live there. The date is Saturday 8th of October. The time is 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Venue, London Zoo, Regent's Park. To book places at the event, contact Alan Weatherly, Children, Young People and Family Officer, on his email, and I shall spell this for you, Alan, that's ALAN .Weatherly, WHETHERLY, at actionforblindpeople.org.uk, or call 07568 102038.
Bad habits in bathroom blamed for breakups. A quarter pull plug on their partners. Nearly a quarter of people in Enfield say bad bathroom habits cause them to pull the plug on their relationship. A study by Recycle for London polled more than 2,000 Londoners across all 33 boroughs about their significant other's bathroom behaviour. Biggest turn-offs include not flushing the toilet, leaving hair in the shower, throwing dirty clothes on the bathroom floor and leaving toothpaste in the sink. Of those polled in Enfield, 2/3 said bad bathroom habits would put them off living with a partner. Some 54% in the borough also said they would have never moved in with their partner if they knew the truth about their restroom routines. Across London as a whole, some 55% of people who took part in the survey said they wished their partner or flatmate would improve their bathroom habits. In addition, 61% considered not recycling items such as shampoo bottles, toothpaste boxes, toilet paper rolls and bleach bottles, a bad bathroom habit that needed addressing. Recycle for London campaign manager Ali Moore said, "We all like to think that we have good bathroom habits, or at least that they don't affect others we live with. But the results of our study suggest otherwise. Bad bathroom habits, amongst them the failure to recycle items from the bathroom, appear to be the cause of many domestic disputes and romantic rifts across the capital. Research was conducted ahead of Recycle Week, which runs from September the 12th to the 18th. Londoners can find out how to recycle better at, and this is a very difficult one, recyclenow, all one word, .com/recycling-knowledge/facts-info/recycle-week-2016.
Thank you. How strange. And no one mentioned the smell. People are more concerned with recycling, not recycling their bathroom goods. Anyhow, the next little short news item is titled Gift for Twin Town. And there's a lovely picture of our Enfield Borough logo with the Enfield, the big beast there, set in stained glass. So it's surrounded by lead. I'm not sure what colour it is. It's a black and white picture, but it looks very pretty. And a stunning stained glass decoration has been specially made as a gift for Enfield's twin town in North Germany. The artwork features Enfield Borough's symbol, the Enfield Beast. It was made by artist Debbie Dean at her glassworks in Montague Road in Edmonton and was handed over at Gladbeck's annual Apple Tart Festival. It's traditional for all the German city's twins to attend the festival and exchange gifts. It doesn't say what they do with the tarts. Enfield has been twinned with Gladbeck since 1954. Children with disabilities from Gladbeck will visit Enfield for a football tournament next month. Enfield's Mayor, Bernadette Lepage, presented the artwork to Gladbeck at a ceremony earlier this month. The gift highlighted the talent of craft makers working in Enfield.
Hero of top-secret war effort has died. Author worked to locate V2 rockets. A Second World War veteran described as a remarkable woman has died aged 95. Eileen Younghusband, originally from Winchmore Hill, died last Monday in hospital in Cardiff, with her friend Hugh Turnbull by her side. Mr. Turnbull had been friends with Eileen for 7 years, and he called her an absolute inspiration. She joined the Women's Auxiliary Air Force during the war and worked in the filter room, the top-secret hub of Britain's air defence, which processed information from coastal radar stations to give air raid warnings and enable the RAF to intercept German bombers. In the decades that followed, Eileen went to work in hotels, write books, and even completed a degree in her late 80s. Mr. Turnbull said, "She was a remarkable woman, an inspirational figure, and she was tireless in promoting the work of the women who helped to defeat the Nazis in their work in the filter room during World War II. After D-Day, Eileen was sent to Belgium with a small team of women using their mathematical skills to locate the mobile launchers for the V2 rockets, then raining down on London and Antwerp. She moved to Wales in 1984, becoming known for her campaigning on health and education issues, and was awarded the British Empire Medal in 2012. At the age of 87, she completed a degree from the Open University and was named one of its Students of the Year. Her autobiography, Not an Ordinary Life, was published the following year. A life-size figure of Eileen as a 21-year-old WAF officer stands in a replica of a filter room at the Battle of Britain Museum at Bentley Priory in Mansion House Drive, Stanmore. Her latest book, Eileen's War, was written for children, completed and published only weeks before her death. She visited the Stanmore Museum in 2011 to sign copies of her book. She said it was time to recognise the valuable contributions of the women in the filter rooms, and says without their success, Britain would not have won the Battle of Britain. Quinton Younghusband, her nephew by marriage, said, "Once she got her teeth into something, she needed to finish it. She wasn't fazed by any kind of male structure in whatever business she was involved in or whatever group she was involved with. She really pushed the limits as an equal because she could do the job as well."
Mugged woman now afraid of wicked man. An independent 101-year-old woman who was violently mugged outside her home has said she is now afraid and called her attacker a wicked man. Alextine Roberts was followed on her way back from a prayer meeting and pushed to the ground, punched in the ribs, and had her handbag with £300 inside stolen. The suspect pretended he was a council worker, saying he was there to fix her electrics before the assault in Tottenham, North London, on August the 23rd. Grandson Ashley Aitchison, 31, who was inside the house, heard his grandmother in distress at 5 p.m. and raced out in his boxer shorts and bare feet. He punched the robber and broke his aviator-style sunglasses, but the attacker escaped. Mrs. Roberts, whose 101st birthday was on Wednesday, said, "I'm shaky. When I'm coming in the house now, I'm afraid because of this wicked man." Granddaughter Jacqueline McIntosh said the family now have to take shifts to be in the house with her grandmother, as being attacked like that changes things. She said Mrs. Roberts did her own shopping and travelled around the city herself, adding, "She's become a bit unsteady now. A lot of other old people live in this area and they are concerned." Mrs. Roberts was taken to hospital as a precaution but suffered bruised ribs. Mr. Aitchison said the man looked like a drunk and was white, around 35, with baggy clothes and a beard. He added that the attacker was fiddling with his belt like he had a weapon and dropped a car key, which was passed on to the police. Mrs. Roberts is a Seventh-day Adventist and had been at her church on Holloway Road, Islington. Detective Chief Inspector Luke Marks said this was a despicable attack on an elderly lady who lived independently and is now fearful to return home. She is extremely distressed and shaken, and we are appealing for help to catch this man before he targets someone else.
Trampoline park may not get off the ground. Plans for a trampoline park could be doomed if councillors agree with a report recommending refusal at tonight's, that's Tuesday's, meeting of Enfield Council's Planning Committee. Trampoline park operator Jump In claims 40 full-time jobs would be created if it opens a venture in Enfield, but the scheme could be scuppered after a report recommended refusal. Jump In, which already runs indoor parks in Slough and Warwick, wants to open a new venue before the end of the year on the Lumina Industrial Park off the A10. If backed, it would be kitted out with hundreds of interconnected trampolines, foam pits, padded walls and a designated kids zone for children, as well as a soft play area for toddlers. The premises would also be available for group CrossFit sessions, private party hire and cater for children with disabilities. Company chairman Vernon West said the launch of the new park will benefit the whole community and will attract people from all ages and abilities, but we expect it will be especially popular with the youngsters aged between 5 and 15 years. He added, "We have received lots of support from the local community already and from local schools, as well as messages of support on social media, and we are all very excited at the prospect of the park opening in Enfield." Not so much excitement at the planning department, though. It says it has just had 3 letters of support for the project. Its report says the plan contravenes official council policy, as the area is earmarked for industrial use. And it adds that it would compromise the primary function and operating conditions of other remaining industrial uses and the potential future use of neighbouring sites for industrial uses. Councillors were due to make a decision last night, Tuesday, 13th September, on the report, which recommends the scheme be thrown out.
Flapjacks helped man with leukemia on 100-kilometre walk. An endurance athlete from Enfield, Pete Davey, has put his best foot forward 125,000 times as he completed a gruelling 100-kilometre walk despite having leukemia. Mr. Davey was an endurance cyclist, but in 2014, when he was diagnosed with the disease, he had to scale back on his cycling. He's completed a series of long walks in slightly more than 24 hours instead. He took on the London to Cambridge walking challenge last year, and this year headed for more hilly terrain, joining other walkers on a tough 100-kilometre or 62-mile trek. He completed the long walk and hopes to raise £1,000, which is about the amount he raised last year. He did the walk to raise money for the Bloodwise charity, which funds research and support for patients with blood cancers. Mr. Davy is a Nordic pole instructor and walked a minimum of 10 to 12 miles a day in the run-up to the event. He was one of 625 walkers who completed the walk out of 859 people. I finished at number 289 in the field, he said. This was by far the toughest event I've done. A lot of it is in the mind and the training. Mr. Davy said, I'm in remission from my leukemia. I had 6 months of chemotherapy, and hopefully this will inspire other people with leukemia to do the same. He added, I enjoyed the walk. It was quite a warm weekend, and there was a sea breeze in the first half of the walk through the night. He made his own flapjacks to give him energy to keep going, and ensured he drank enough fluid along the way, as well as taping up his feet with zinc oxide in a bid to keep blisters at bay. The 68-year-old from Holland Road and Enfield said his consultant at University College Hospital is supportive of his fitness endeavours.
Still blooming marvellous. There was a celebration across the borough after a number of parks and green spaces won awards. A total of 10 parks were given gongs after competing at the Enfield in Bloom Awards earlier this year in July. Awards were given to schools, residents and pubs who took part in the competition, including public spaces. Winners of the best maintained park were Berry Lodge and Broomfield Park, who won gold. Town Park who won silver, and Grovelands and Forty Hall Park were awarded bronze. Firs Farm Wetlands and Edmonton Cemetery won gold for the highway bed and open space planting category. Lavender Hill Cemetery entrance was given silver, and Pims Park Wetlands was awarded bronze. Forty Hall's walled garden also won gold in the exceptional horticultural category. To celebrate the achievement, Councillor Daniel Anderson, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, joined Councillor Yasmin Brett, Cabinet Member for Community, Arts and Culture, in a visit to Forty Hall Park. Friends of Forty Hall member Joanne Brown gave them a tour of the gardens and the wildlife which it attracts. Mr. Anderson said, I would like to thank our gardening staff, together with our friends of park groups, who have demonstrated a remarkable degree of skill and ability to produce such spectacular displays. I congratulate them all on the fruits of their labours.
Estate agent puts local knowledge to forefront. Staff at an estate agents are banking on local knowledge to make a success of their new Enfield office. The 4 directors and 5 staff of Cottage Fields were all born at Chase Farm Hospital and believe their upbringing will prove invaluable for potential buyers and sellers. Sihan Asian said, We don't just think of houses as bricks and mortar, we think of homes, places of comfort, places for growing families and being part of the local community. Cottage Fields first opened in Waltham Abbey 4 years ago, and after opening the new Enfield shop, following renovation of the premises in Lancaster Road, Sian and his team are planning to expand further into Barnet/Southgate by 2019.
And now another take on the controversial cycle scheme. Under the heading Cycle Scheme Will Kill Off High Street, there's an article which claims, in fact, it's only a £30 million scheme, although Phillip's article said it was 42. But still, let's go on. A controversial cycle scheme will be the death of a busy high street, say traders and neighbours. The latest part of Cycle Enfield will see cycle lanes built between Ballsmore Lane and Southbury Road along Hertford Road. But vocal opponents to the plans say a lack of parking, unloading space for delivery lorries and a lack of crossings make the £30 million scheme unworkable. They also claim that because the cycle lanes will pass between the pavement and the road, including bus stops, people will be unable to reach bus stops. Dennis Blasey, who's lived in the affected Enfield Wash area since 1946, said these plans are terrible. If a bus stops, no one will be able to pass it in a car. I bet you any money there will be accidents as cyclists hit people getting on a bus. Alan Millwood, who has worked at Albany Radio and Hertford Road for 30 years, said the plans would be the death of the Hertford Road. The 44-year-old said they get 15 deliveries a week of large goods outside the front door, but lorries will have nowhere to park if they cannot stop on Hertford Road. He said manufacturers will not want to park half a mile up the road and bring the goods down, and the lorries are not allowed to park on side streets. There's usually no space there anyway. If people can't stop, they won't shop. Another business owner, Paul Townsend, who runs Towns End Double Glazing, said if this happens, I will have to close the stores and move. People will lose their jobs. The proposed A10 route is open for public consultation until September the 23rd. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said parking, as well as loading for local businesses, is included in the proposals, whilst our designs for bus stops, though new to Enfield, have been used successfully in other parts of London, the UK and abroad. We will, however, closely monitor their implementation and make adjustments as necessary.
Changes to schools labelled ill-thought-out and risky. Company to oversee education is just not necessary. Drastic moves to shake up education have come under heavy fire. Backing for a company to be created to run schools in Enfield was approved last month, but it's set to spark a row after political opponents have called it ill-thought-through and risky. Last month, Enfield Council's cabinet backed setting up a company called Ensign to take over the running of the borough's schools. The council believes that acting as an arm's-length provider would be the best way to run the area's schools, as it faces funding cuts and has to make savings. It says other London boroughs have established schools companies. A report said Ensign offers the best opportunity to protect employment by bringing in additional income sources. But Tory councillor Alexandra Georgiou has blasted the scheme as ill thought through and says it should be seriously reconsidered. In forcing the subject to be called in for discussion by Enfield Council's Overview and Scrutiny Committee, he says there would be a lack of scrutiny over Ensign. He said the risks were too high, adding, "Why do we have to create another organisation at long-term significant cost when the Education Department in Enfield already does a satisfactory job? There's a very strong chance that with the proliferation of academies and free schools, other providers in the market will emerge. They could undercut the council's offer, and the scheme will cost money for the taxpayers and not make a profit, wasting taxpayer money." Enfield Council's report suggests that a new direction was needed so that it could continue to meet its legal responsibilities for providing education. The Council's Overview and Scrutiny Committee meets on Thursday, September the 15th, to discuss the issue.
Special birthday for fire service. Firefighters in Enfield threw open the doors of the fire station as part of the 150th birthday celebrations of the emergency service. Fire crews demonstrated the skills they need to rescue people trapped in a road accident and from a high-rise block of flats. The open day at the station in Carter Hatch Lane also gave children a chance to climb into the driver's seat of a fire engine and try on the protective gear and a firefighter's helmet for size. The open day on Saturday, September the 3rd, was one of 65 held across the capital as London Fire Brigade celebrated its anniversary.
Vanessa all set to give it her best shot in Rio. A disabled woman who was confined to her bed has triumphed over her disability to compete at the Rio Paralympics in Brazil in the shot put. Vanessa Dalbury, 39, who trains at Lee Valley Athletic Centre in Meridian Way, Edmonton, was born with a neurological and muscular skeleton condition which causes her body to go into abnormal postures. She has used a wheelchair for the past 9 years, and just after 18 months of starting the sport, she is ranked 4th in the world and 2nd in Europe. Ms Dalbury, who's from Haringey, will compete in the F34 competition on Wednesday, just yesterday and has attributed her success to her coach, Alison O'Riordan, and support staff at University of East London, UEL. It's a total team effort, she said. It wouldn't have happened without everyone's involvement in helping to make me into an athlete. Ms Dowbury joined the Haringey Wheelers Club in 2012 to improve her muscle strength and started weight training at UEL. Her coach, Alison, spotted her potential to become a shot put thrower after recognising she had the right physique for the sport. It's all down to her work ethic and her wanting to make a change in her life, Alison said. She has some physical attributes, the fact that she's long-limbed and tall, but she has never had a sporting background, so it's been a complete learning experience for her, she added. After returning from Rio, Ms Dowbury will start a BSc degree in Sport and Exercise Science at UEL. I'm looking forward to the whole experience, being part of the team, meeting new athletes, she said. I'm looking forward to everything, but especially the competition and really seeing where I am. I would love a medal, but I want to try to be realistic and just do the best that I can. I have to accept that I am a new athlete and I'm still learning, but as long as I can live up to my expectations, I'll be happy.
And now we've got 4 letters from the correspondence page. This one is from Councillor George A. Sava, who's the Labour member for Hazelbury on Enfield Council. It never ceases to amaze me that the Enfield Tories openly rejected the proposed cycling lanes across the borough. Now they claim and point the finger at the council for the lack of consultation. Are these people for real? Under the 8 years of Tory misrule, 2002 to 2010, when did the Tories consult the good people of Enfield when they closed Weir Library or Carterhatch Lane recycling plant? If the Tories like a lesson in history, they closed down 2 schools, shut down children's playgrounds and sold off parkland for development. The Enfield cycling lanes are good for the borough and the well-being of its residents. Perhaps the Tories don't like the cycling lanes because they will be used by many, including people in the poorer parts of the borough, in which the Tories, both nationally and locally, neglected for decades.
And now some comment from Paul Everett, who's Artistic Director at the Millfield Arts Centre in Edmonton. And he says, I've been glued to the Paralympics in Rio, marvelling and with many tears in my eyes at the scale of the human endeavour to overcome adversity. It's thrilling to experience, and I'm overcome with feelings of hope and pride. It's a rollercoaster of emotions following the Olympics, when the Enfield athletes Charlotte Dujardin, Chris Walker-Hebben and Desiree Henry brought gold, silver and bronze medals in the equestrian, swimming and athletics back to the UK. We're blessed in Enfield to have sports facilities and parks and open spaces right across the borough, with lots of organisations and individuals, both professional and volunteer, who are dedicated to providing opportunities for all ages to participate in leisure and sport. And yet we have growing health problems in our communities because of growing inactivity. Enfield Council have a new campaign called Move More Enfield, which encourages everyone to make small changes in their lives to be more active, whether that's taking the stairs instead of the lift, walking or cycling to work instead of taking the car, or joining a local sports club or exercise class. Our leisure centre partners Fusion and our sports development team have just published a wide variety of courses for all age groups to get off the sofa and get more active. I hope you can support our campaign and encourage your friends, family and neighbours to move more Enfield.
And here's a letter from Jean Lambert, representing Green London, an MEP. The Calais Jungle Camp is making headlines on both sides of the channel, and now there are Donald Trump-esque plans to build a monstrous wall. The decision is the latest wrong move in what is the ongoing scandal of the handling of the plight of refugees in northern France. Successive French and British governments have utterly failed to fulfil their responsibilities towards the vulnerable people who find themselves in the camps, especially unaccompanied children. A wall will do nothing to improve the security of vulnerable refugees and asylum seekers or local residents, lorry drivers and cross-channel travellers. Adding to the already chaotic situation will only cause more children to go missing and give more control to criminal gangs. The authorities need to gain the trust of people in the camps, provide them with the information they are entitled to, give them a sense of security, and handle their asylum claims properly. The UK government must get its act together. Many of the people in Calais have a legal right to be reunited with family in the UK. The slow speed at which governments are dealing with the asylum claims is inexcusable. People who find themselves in these camps do not want to enter the UK illegally, but they need support to access the asylum system, and no matter what, they need to be treated with dignity.
And finally, this is a letter from Mr. King, who's in Cuckoo Hall Lane in Edmonton, with regards to rat runs. What this borough needs is a Conservative council which is not anti-car. Sure, cars, lorries and buses all cause congestion, but the council has contributed to even more congestion and pollution with their gated roads, chicanes and bus stops sticking out into the roadway. For example, by Ponders End Tesco on the Hertford Road, there is masses of pavement for buses to pull into a bus lay-by leading northwards. Also, the bus stop before Lincoln Road could be set back. Also, cars should be allowed to park two wheels on the pavement where possible, for instance in South Street, Ponders End. This is allowed in Berry Street, Winchester Road and Suffolk Road, N9 and many others. This is also needed in Nightingale Road, N9 by the school. It is allowed on the other part of Nightingale Road. The school-run traffic is parking by the curb and causing big problems there. Also, what this borough needs is a dual carriageway from Tottenham Hale through to the M25. This would free up so many other roads, for example Hertford Road, Great Cambridge Road, Waltham Way and Sewardstone Road, E4. If the cycle lanes come, things are just going to get worse, not better. This has shown to be proven in many other boroughs across the country. In Chingford, residents park in the cycle lanes, and who can blame them? They are rarely used and they need to park their cars outside their homes. As for so-called rat runs, they are shortcuts, and who would not take a shortcut? Most people do. Broadwalk in Southgate is a shortcut, or rat run, if that's what people prefer to call it. I can't see a gate being put up there any time soon. The residents there would not put up with it.
Right, and now we've got a number of items from the sports pages. My one is headed Another Setback. Enfield Town's dreadful away form continued on Saturday as they slumped to a 2-0 defeat at Folkestone Invicta. Although Town remain unbeaten at the Queen Elizabeth Stadium in the Ryman Premier Division in 2016, they have failed to match these results on their travels, having now lost all 4 away matches in the league this season, in addition to a shock defeat in the FA Cup, and this latest reversal saw them slip into the relegation zone in the early season table. "Our home record is fantastic," manager Bradley Quinton said. "We've just got to try to match that away from home. There is no reason why our results should be so much better at home than they are away, and we need to start picking up points on the road if we are going to get to where we want to be." Of equal concern for Town are their struggles in finding the net, with the side having now gone more than 4 matches since Harry Ottaway scored their last goal in a 3-0 win over Kingstonian on August the 23rd. These twin problems have led to Quinton taking action to revamp his squad, with the recent returns to the club of central defender Claudio Vilchu and striker Bobby Devine, being joined by 4 more new arrivals over the past week. Defender Jonathan Muleba, 21, who has enjoyed spells with Chelsea Youth and Bournemouth under-21s, teenager Keir Dixon, who can play in defence or midfield and has joined the club from Hayes and Yedding United, and 18-year-old Irish youth international forward Conor Davies, who has arrived on a month-long loan from Reading, all started at Folkestone, while prolific striker Tony Mendes, a signing from Chalfont St Peter, is the other newcomer. However, the new faces were unable to inspire an immediate improvement in Town's fortunes over the weekend, as they once again ended up with nothing to show for their efforts. Tom Collins and Mark Kirby both had headed chances for the visitors inside the first 15 minutes, but they needed keeper Nathan MacDonald to make a superb diving save to prevent Ian Draycott from putting Folkestone ahead. The deadlock was broken just before the interval, when the unfortunate Malaber could only turn Phil Starkey's dangerous cross into his own net. Tyler Campbell did have a goal ruled out for offside, but Town really looked like getting back in the match in the second half, and their fate was sealed when Draycott doubled the hosts' lead with 19 minutes remaining. Meanwhile, striker Kelvin Bosman, who joined Town just before the start of the season, has been released by the club after struggling to make an impact. Although Enfield Town made the short trip to Cheshunt in the League Cup last night, their early exit from the FA Cup means that they are without a match on Saturday. They are due to visit Staines Town on Tuesday at 7:45pm, but that fixture will be called off if their opponents are involved in a cup replay.
And now rugby news. Hampstead rally to pip Enfield. Ignatians fall to late defeat in opener. Enfield Ignatians suffered late disappointment after losing 11-7 in their London 2 North West opener at home to Hampstead on Saturday. Although Ignatians had their moments in the first half, they were unable to translate their pressure into points, and it was Hampstead who made the breakthrough after the visitors' number 8 forced his way over from a 5-metre scrum. Ignatians suffered a double whammy as New Zealand wing Johnny Dixon was forced off injured after some desperate and brave defending in trying to prevent the score. The game was played mainly between the two 22s in the second period, but 7 minutes from time, Ignatians responded after winger Cairo Sango capitalised on some dithering in the Hampstead defence to go under the sticks. This made the Jordan Wilson conversion a formality. However, the Blue and Golds, having snared a 7-5 lead, failed to close the game out, and a late Hampstead rally ensured Ignatians had to console themselves with a losing bonus point. Coach Ali Cook said it was a game of fine margins, and it was disappointing to lose, even though this was a step up from the disappointing pre-season Dunster Billions effort. We need to be far more clinical and translate our pressure into points. It was one that got away. Ignatians are away to Welwyn in the league on Saturday. Ignatians seconds got off to a good start in the Hearts Middlesex Merit Table 2 after a 26-17 win over Cheshunt seconds. Lewis White, Caelan Davey and Ryan Brown crossed for Ignatians, with Paul Duke adding 3 conversions. However, the promoted thirds suffered a rude awakening in the Hearts Middlesex Merit Table 4 after suffering a 65 away defeat to Fullerians thirds. Alex McCall scored for the visitors.
Bronze medal for rower Agar at Rio Games. Enfield rower Tom Agar won a bronze medal at the Rio Paralympic Games. Agar won bronze in the men's arms, shoulders, single sculls competition. The rower won gold in Beijing 8 years ago in the single sculls and went into London 2012 on a long, unbeaten run. The 32-year-old finished in 4th place 4 years ago and travelled to Rio determined to make up for this near miss. Agar was a heavy favourite in London 2012 but was unable to match his expectations as he missed out on a medal. The rower has since moved on from this and came away with a silver medal at the World Championships last year. Agar qualified for Sunday's final after winning the repechage with a convincing performance. The rower went out strongly early in the race and dominated throughout to qualify for the final. Agar was part of a memorable day for Great Britain after the team won 21 medals on Super Sunday in Rio. It was Britain's best one-day haul in the last 3 Paralympic Games.
And now more rugby news. Impressive Sarries cruise past Exeter. 2 tries from Sean Maitland helped Saracens to maintain their perfect start to the Aviva Premiership campaign by securing a 34-13 bonus point victory at Exeter on Sunday. Sarries had been expecting a tough test against the side who they beat in the Premiership final earlier this year, but despite playing into a strong wind in the first half, they raced into a 12-0 lead inside the first 20 minutes to take a firm grip on the match, which they never relinquished. Alex Lazowski, Jackson Ray and Ben Spencer joined Maitland in crossing the line, while the visitors' other 9 points came from the boot of Alex Good. I thought it was a big step up from where we were last week, said Director of Rugby Mark McCall. It was a step up in terms of our energy, our intensity and our physicality right from the off. The first 20 minutes went as well as they could have gone, really. Exeter came back into it and we had to show a lot of our fighting qualities, but once we got through that period, 12-6 up, it was a tall order for them to play into the breeze. Ray, who was named man of the match following a terrific individual display, added, "It was a massive improvement from the first game. Our intensity and accuracy was much better. We knew we had to be better to beat a quality side like Exeter. We always have massive games against them. I'm sure there will be areas of the games we're disappointed with and need to improve on, but to come to Exeter and get a win is a massive achievement. We needed to be at our best defensively and we had to be on it. Exeter caught us a few times, but we're pleased with how it went. Saracens host Northampton on Saturday at 3 p.m.
And finally a football one again. Cockfosters climbed up into 4th place in the Spartan Premier Division table after easing to a 2-0 victory at home to Oxhay Jets on Saturday. Although the Reds have endured a stop-start beginning to the campaign, they have enjoyed some excellent results, and goals from Jerry Major and Meschach Williams enabled them to add another 3 points to their total in this match. "It was a very good win," said manager Dean Barker. "We often seem to play better away than we do at home, so it was nice to put on a performance like this at our own ground. We missed a penalty, and if we'd put our chances away, we could easily have scored 5 or 6. It was also pleasing to get a clean sheet, and it's nice to be sitting 4th in the league, even if it is still very early days. It's a good position to be in, especially considering we've had so many players missing for various reasons. We've already used more than 30 players this season and haven't been able to field a settled side at all. Most of the guys are back now, so there is going to be real competition for places, and that's a very healthy position to be in. I want to pay particular tribute to our captain, Ben Spall. He's made more than 100 appearances for the club and has been very loyal, and I think he's been excellent in the last couple of matches." Having visited St Margaret's-Bury last night, Cockfosters returned to action by hosting Welwyn Garden City on Saturday at 3 p.m. "Welwyn are favourites to win the league, so it'll be a tough match," Barker added. "But we've got some good results against the top sides in the past year, and we're confident we can give them a test."
And that was John bringing this week's edition to a close. A sad week for us as we say goodbye to our recordist Colin. Colin has gone above and beyond the call of duty on many occasions, standing in for our recordists when they're away on holiday or not very well. He was with us on the team that helped select the right boombox for our new listeners and has seen us through the digital transition and out the other side. And we'll miss Colin. He's been a great support to ETN and a man with eclectic music tastes, so I think we can send Colin a CD of our title music, Country Rock Polka, and he'll be able to play that at home and enjoy it whenever the fancy takes him. Thank you very much for listening. And so from the team of Phillip, Ali, Romany and John, with Peter and Colin on the controls for the last time, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet, and return it to us as soon as you can, in readiness in time for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with the Enfield Talking newspaper, and her number is 0208 805 6578. That's 0208 805 6578. It's a de Jersey double whammy this week, because you should be receiving a copy of the latest Enfield microphone presented by Keith de Jersey at some point this week. The magazine is issued on CD, which you're able to keep. Coming up next on this memory stick, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.